Today's subject is health education and community pharmacy. Then we have to see the chapter number 3, that is demography and family planning. Then in this lecture we have to see about the definition of demography and their demographic cycle. First we have to see the definition of demography. What is demography? It is the scientific study of human population. Demography means it is the scientific study of human population. In this we have to see the first change in human population size, then second composition of population, and third is distribution of population in the space. This is called as demography. Means demography, it is simply called as the scientific study of the human population. Then in this population we have to see first in what is the change in human population, means what is the birth rate, what is death rate, then second composition of population, and the third is distribution of population in the space. This is the definition of demography. Then second, demography deals with the 5 demographic processes. It is based on the 5 demographic processes. The first is fertility. Fertility means to conceive the birth of the child. It is called as fertility. Second is mortality, means the death rate or ratio of death rate. And third is migration, means transfer from one place to another place. Then fourth is the marriage, and fourth is the social mobility. Mobility means social movement. These are the demographic process. The first is fertility, second is mortality, third is migration, fourth is marriage, and fifth is the social mobility. The next important thing is demographic cycle. This is very important. What is the demographic cycle? There are 5 stages of demographic cycle to which a nation passes. There are 5 stages of demographic cycle. We have to see one by one. The first, it is called as stage 1. It is called as high stationary stage. This stage is also known as high stationary stage because this stage is characterized by high birth rate and high death rate. So the population remains stationary, means stable, because in this process it contains high birth rate and as well as high death rate. Therefore, so the population remains stationary, means same. For example, the India was in the stage in 1920. This is called as stage 1, that is high stationary stage. Then second is stage 2, that is called as early expanding stage. In this stage there is a decline, means decrease in death rate, while the birth rate remains unchanged. Means in this stage the birth rate remains same, but there is decrease in the death rate. So the population expands because the death rate is decreased. For example, Asia and South Africa. This is the example of stage 2, that is early expanding stage. Then stage 3 is, it is called as late expanding stage. In this stage the death rate is decreased further and the birth rate being to fall, mean to start. There is an increase in population since because the birth rate exceeds death rate. For example, India. In this late expanding stage, that is stage 3, the birth rate is very decline, means decrease, but the birth rate is being to fall, means it is only start. Therefore, there is an increase in the population since the birth rate exceeds the death rate. For example, India. The next stage 4, that is low stationary stage. Stationary means the stable. So in this stage, low birth rate and low death rate, so the population becomes stationary because these are equal, means low birth rate and low death rate. So the population becomes stationary. For example, Dubai, UK, Switzerland, Denmark. These are the example countries for the stage 4. Then last stage is stage 5, that is decline stage. Means the population being to decline, means to decrease as the birth rate is lower than the death rate, means there is in the decline stage. For example, Germany. So these are the 5 stages of demographic cycle, and which is important, very important. The question asked is define demography and explain the demography cycle in detail. Then in this lecture we have to see the first, it is the definition of demography. It is the scientific study of the human population. Then next we have to see what is the demographic process. The first is fertility, second is mortality, third is migration, fourth is marriage, and fifth is the social mobility. Then you have to see one by one the demographic cycle. There are 5 demographic cycle. The first is stage 1, that is high stationary stage. There is high birth rate and high death rate, so the population remains stationary. Then second you have to see the stage 2 called as early expanding stage. In this there is decrease in death rate and birth rate remains unchanged, means same. Then third you have to see the late expanding stage. In this stage the death rate is decline and the birth rate is start to fall, means start to decrease. Then next is you have to see the stage 4, that is low stationary stage. That is, in this condition there is low birth rate and low death rate. Then the population becomes stationary, means same. And last we have to see the stage 5, that is decline. The population begins to decline as birth rate is lower than death rate. So it is decline condition because birth rate is very lower than death rate. So this is all about the definition of demography, then process of demography, and last is the demographic cycle.